Things are getting very ugly with Hollywood as the strike continues on, the WGA as well as sag-aftra. Now easily over the 100-day mark, no end in sight. Here on this channel, we have reported many times that we do not believe that the current leadership has the ability to get this thing over the finish line and get Hollywood back to work. Now celebrities are beginning to turn against one another. And there are some very sad circumstances and situations taking place that we feel should never happen. We'll talk about them right now. Hello, folks, and welcome back. It is a joyous day out there, and we hope you are having a joyous time. We endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. We love doing it, and we love having Michelle of Force of Light back on the channel once more. Michelle, welcome back.
Yes, good to be. Always nice to be back.
Well, today we're going to be talking about the strike in Hollywood. Folks, before we do, let's do the little jingle, the little motto that we have. If you'd like to consider clicking the like button, well, we'd like that a lot. Maybe subscribe, share, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. And with that down and under the way, we'll get underway as well. Here we've got Out of Deadline by Sean Piccoli. The Drew Barrymore show hit with pickets as audience members thrown out for wearing WGA badges amid the writers' strike. And yes, we are now above the 130 day mark. 133 days, folks, as of the release of this video. 134 days, and there is no end in sight.
Now,
Members
this is
of
the
Striking
longest
Writers
strike
Guild.
ever, correct, Pro?
There was a strike in the 80s. I would have to check to make sure, but we are at least very close to breaking it. At least very close, if not. But I do know that the strike in the 80s went forever. But yes, this is well, to put this in comparison, the impacts of the strike that happened in 2007, 2008 are still felt up until today. And this dwarfs that strike. And we should be at the point now where you're like, okay, well, I think we're closing in on a deal. You know, there should be talk every day. They're back in the meetings. You know, we've got it. Nothing. There is nothing. There is absolutely. Now, egg on my face if this thing resolves the same day that we put this video out. But it feels like nothing. Members of the Striking Writers Guild gathered outside the CBS Broadcast Center in New York early Monday morning to protest the restart of the Drew Barrymore show and to discourage the daytime talk show host and her guests from crossing their picket line. It didn't work entirely. In what played out like cat and mouse between picketers and the show, Barrymore slipped in undetected to tape a pair of episodes with in-studio audiences at 11 and 1 p.m., as did her guests. There had been suggestions that the guests included Oprah and Brooke Shields, but Deadline understands that the Oprah, that was incorrect. The Oprah did not show. It goes on to talk about just how bizarre things got. 2 college students kicked out because they had WGA strike buttons. More people trying to get in with WGA apparel, probably going to disrupt if they had the chance. It keeps going. You can see here they've got all kinds of tweets and stuff about it. And yeah, it's just you've got, even if you go down to the bottom of this, you'll find out that some of the people who are involved in the show actually are outside there picketing. Let's talk about this. Joining Monday's picket was Christina Kennan, one of the Barrymore's show's 3 staff writers. They're on strike. She says, I came out today because I support my union, the Writers Guild, and I think we deserve a fair deal. She said it's frustrating to be on strike for 5 months. Yeah, not being paid for 5 months, that's got to be frustrating. But I am hopeful for a fair deal, she said, and I think that we'll get there because I know that what we're asking for is fair. Michelle, this is a huge mess. It seems to me now that inside the industry, people are turning on each other. What else can you say when the writers for the show are angry because the show is in there doing what it's doing and they can't? So, Michelle, how bad is this going to get? Like, there is no end in sight.
Well, that's why there's a part of me that's almost like good for Drew Barrymore. And maybe that's the wrong take, but that's how I feel just as an observer watching this, because at some point, someone's got to end this thing. And
leadership isn't.
Yeah, the leadership isn't. The leadership at this point, and you guys have pretty much covered this on your channel, it just feels, they feel incompetent. And it feels like nothing is, it doesn't feel like nothing is happening that anyone can see or tell. And like, I'm just glad they're just kind of like, to heck with it. We're just going to do the show. because I feel like it may take that to make something actually happen, and for this thing to actually, I mean, at some point, something's got to give. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Are we gonna go to 200 days? You know, I mean, like, when
yeah,
does this stop? How long can this possibly go
a
on?
full year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And what does it take? You know, how many bank accounts have to be bled dry before people say, you know what? Maybe we need legal general counsel that hasn't been sought after to be replaced for a year now. And maybe
Yeah,
we
maybe
need,
that would have been a good idea before we decided to
yeah,
strike.
maybe we actually do need an executive director who, you know, that person has been on sick leave since February. And oh, yeah, maybe we do need a chief financial officer for the guild who's supposed to address financial concerns and worries. A strike seems to be one of those. You would think there has to be a point where they begin to break rank and say, listen, we are getting screwed. We have not worked. It's going to be 6 months. We have not worked in half a year. And there's nothing. They just keep it. This reminds me of the pixie dusters, right? They just keep hanging on to that hope that, hey, we're going to get that fair deal. Meanwhile, crickets. So, Michelle, where do you see this going? Who's going to win this thing? Or does everybody lose?
Well, I mean, there's coming a point it feels like no one's winning at a. I mean, it just keeps going. But I definitely don't think the actors and writers are going to win. So at some point, you need to pivot and pivot quickly. And like, you may not get everything you wanted, but get some, like, have some compromise and get something done at this point. Like, it's
Have
again,
some
at some
dignity.
point, it's just got to get moving.
Well, you know, I think the winners here are the international markets. Though the international markets
Oh,
where they're
yeah,
still
yeah.
producing stuff, yeah. Well, I mean, look, the great American entertainment industry is no more, has went into full hibernation mode. So, you know, have fun, get out there and play around and make some stuff, and maybe the independent creators out there also have a shot.
Well, that's a great thought. In going off the international markets, you also have kind of the alternative media. I mean, obviously, we've just seen a massive hit of the summer with Angel Studios releasing Sound of Freedom, and I know Angel Studios has already gone to exhibitions to work on their shows, and I guess if they want to do a movie, so maybe there's chance for smaller studios, whether that's a different independent one. I don't know. Maybe there's a chance for kind of alternative media
That's a
to
great
have a
point. You know,
moment.
Sound of Freedom is leading in like 18
Yes.
international markets now. It wasn't even supposed to get an international release, but it's dominating
Yeah.
now. And well, you're not seeing much coverage of that outside of this channel and a few others. They're not covering it over
No.
on the trades. Another thing that they're probably not going to be covering anytime soon is the rise of YouTube and the rise of live sports. I mean, Disney just caved hard. And we called this. I mean, we literally called it hours ahead of time, but they caved hard to Charter Spectrum because they were terrified of ESPN not covering Monday Night Football on the second largest cable provider. I think that's the winner. I think sports. I think maybe reality TV. All of these things are going to become popular in the absence of other forms of entertainment. I think I think this is gravely damaging to the people who are participating in it at this point.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I mean, for the most part, like, I know, and if they don't get back to work fast, we're gonna hit a point where we're like, well, where's the entertainment come like next year at this time or whatever. But for the most part, I think because the entertainment hasn't stopped yet, I don't think most people even really pay attention to what's going on. Like, they don't. They just, the average American's got so much stuff that they're dealing with that they're not paying attention to this. And I mean, I'm
Maybe the
saying I
T
understand
Swift.
that.
Maybe T Swift is going to save the theaters, and that will get some headlines. And maybe going to movie theaters. Maybe you won't go to the movie theater. Maybe you'll go to a theater and watch live sports or something different. Because as of right now, with the length that this has gone on, we're not going to have many movies next year, and we're not going to have hardly any movies at all in 2025. And if theaters don't come up with ingenious ways to bypass that, they're going the way of the dodo. They're getting blockbustered unless they find a way to get content on the big screen that people will come in for, an event experience. So I don't know what that might be.
And I know I've said this on this channel many times. That is my biggest fear with this, and why I want it to get solved is the theaters already had a heck of a time. And I mean, they're just kind of now getting back to where they wanted. And then you've got this. And I just feel, again, this whole strike has felt incredibly incompetent. And
Hmm.
even the time they picked was horrible planning for their industry. And it just kind of comes across to me a little tone deaf, really.
Yep. And going to the theaters, that's a communal experience, and we need those badly. We have largely, as a society across the world, moved into sort of our own bubbles. And you can see these very strong partisan lines that divide us now in every single arena. Going to the movie theaters to watch a movie, that's one of those, last remainder vestiges of a society where we used to get together on neutral ground and go have fun. And we used to do it as a group, with others, with strangers, and laugh and applaud together. And I think it's a major negative if theaters go under.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's horrible for society if theaters go under. It's one of our last real shared experiences that we have as a society and culture. And that's my concern. Has always been my concern with this. And it's just time for them to make something happen. Like again, this has gone on too long. Nothing's happening, and I think we're just all the ones that are paying attention. We're growing tired of their incompetence.
And the worst part of all this, I think, most people that you talk to would still say, "What are you talking about?" If you brought up the strike,
Yes.
most people would say,
Yeah.
outside of California, maybe outside of Atlanta, most people are going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm still watching TV. I'm
Yep.
watching the last season of Stranger Things. I'm having a great time. I'm watching One Piece. They don't know this is happening, and they don't care. So,
Hmm.
how's that for leverage, folks?
Yeah.
One thing that is quite sad that is going on right now is we're going to take a look at this tweet by William Shatner. Let me zoom in a little bit. That looks better, doesn't it? William Shatner, of course, 92 years old, a true legend when it comes to entertainment. And this is his tweet that has 744,000 views, only 13,000 likes. Pay attention to that ratio there. It's important. William Shatner says, "Remember that all SAG-AFTRA actors are still on strike. We will not mention any TV shows or movies, old, current, or upcoming, as a support to our union's ongoing work. I ask that you all understand that other actors, nor myself, are ignoring you, but we will not comment if it includes the above. My best, Bill." Now, I had a response to this, and my response, which had, I would say, very contested responses to this. Many, and you can kind of tell who the union people are who came in to respond. But I said, "Life is short, Mr. Shatner. They should exempt you to comment on your life's work and legacy." 204 likes, 25,000 views, 14 responses. Many of those responses from who I believe to be union members who are not happy with what I said. And I can't blame them because I'm suggesting that this doesn't work and we need to get away from it. But Michelle, do you believe that some of these older actors, who knows, maybe even not so older actors, that they should be allowed to get some exemptions here? Because, I'm not trying to wish poorly to William Shatner in the least. The man's 92. Let him talk about his legacy. Let him talk about his shows, his life's work, and everybody else above a certain age. And if they want to voluntarily not talk about this stuff, whatever. But listen, giving a comment on Twitter or social media or at a convention about something you did in the 1960s that you're very proud of, that has zero impact on whether or not the strike ends or ends sooner or anything else. Your thoughts?
Well, absolutely. I mean, what if this happened in like the last year of Betty White's life?
Amen.
It would have been a tragedy. But yeah, I mean, he just needs to be able to talk about it. Like you said, he's 92 years old. Like just talk. And honestly, William, just talk. Like who
Right.
cares? Who cares at this point? And that's kind of why I said at the beginning, I almost feel like, well, good for Drew Barrymore. Because like at some point, someone's got to just like break out of the pack. I mean, this is the problem with unionization is they're just all stuck in nothingness now because they have incompetent leaders and no one wants to move forward. So it's going to take people like William. They just need to do what they want, basically.
Yep. I'm with you. But I just want to highlight this. It's an oddity, but it's one of those casualties of a strike that you just don't consider very often. And I would suggest to the audience out there watching and listening that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of other repercussions that we would not think of. You know, you don't think about your actors who are above their 80s not being able to talk about their life's work. That's not something that typically comes to mind when a strike goes on this long, but it's real and it has a major impact, and it has to be depressing for these individuals, like really, really depressing. But there are thousands of these kinds of situations. You've got to think about all the people who are watching their bank accounts reach zero and they are now living off of credit. And these are going to be the people who they were on the margin in Hollywood. They're not big time whatsoever. They're just getting started. They're living on a hope and a prayer. And they're the ones who are going to be suffering, and they may move out. You may lose institutional knowledge and wisdom as people decide, I can't do this anymore. I'm going back to my hometown. I'm going back to Pennsylvania. I'm going back to Iowa. I'm going back to wherever because I can't make it. We're not working. And I think there are thousands of other situations such as this that are just destroying the culture of Hollywood. So,
yeah,
Michelle, some viewers may like that. What do you think, though, as we wrap this one up?
Again, I come from this as the point of view of, like, right now, does it bother me? No, I really don't think about it a lot. Again, for me, it is the theater aspect that the theater has just really this year just really began to kind of recoup and kind of just get their feet under them again after 2020 and 2021. And it would be horrible for our society to lose the theater experience. We need that shared experience across the board. There's really nothing like it. And it's time for the actors and the writers to figure this out and get this finished.
So you're suggesting then that we need a Taylor Swift, Kanye West rap battle one day only in the movie theaters to save them. Finally bury the hatchet.
That would do it. That would
definitely do it. Well, folks, something that would also do it, for us at least, is consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. All right, this is going to be perhaps contentious. We'll see how this goes, but drop a comment either way. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think this strike has gone on long enough? Do you think that it should go on forever ad infinitum? Well, we'd love to know your thoughts, so drop one down below. And also, don't forget that Park Place, the YouTube channel, has now launched. And folks, the content is fabulous. We are creating a network of entertainment news coverage, all the news that should be fun. If you're not yet subscribed, well, you should be. Join the more than 1,000 people who subscribed even before the channel launched. The blast, and we have so many of your favorite content creators participating, including an official collaboration with Bounding Into Comics. Now, Michelle, you are over there on Force of Light. Tell us what you all have coming up on your channel.
Yes, well, we have our first time watching reaction of Beetlejuice comes out. It will probably be out either Tuesday or Wednesday this week. And then I know I'm going to cover the trailer reaction for Aquaman. We'll see how much Amber Turd is in that, or not in that. But yeah, that's what we've got going on. So check us out at Force of Light Entertainment.
Incredible. All right, folks, we hope you are having a wonderful time out there, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun, and Beetlejuice.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we're really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on that Park Place.
So not like most